Hello, my name is Lucy. Welcome to my channel. I share videos around the topic of long COVID and chronic fatigue syndrome. So today's video is around the idea of time and our mindset and our ideas of time when we're unwell. So it'll make a bit more sense when I get into it. It sounds like a kind of abstract thing to talk about. Just to mention before I start that I'm not a medical professional, so this isn't medical or mental health advice. So I've recently been reading a book called 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman, and this is a really good book. I'd recommend it. And it's about how we think about time and the language people use around time, and it made me think about how this affects us when we're unwell. One really common mindset when people are unwell with long COVID or chronic fatigue syndrome is the idea that I'll start living again and enjoying my life when I'm well. And so they're either in this state of waiting to get well again, or they're striving to get well again. So they're trying really hard, they're trying different things, they're doing everything they can. It's a real focus of their attention and time, and of course that's understandable. And I understand that with having really difficult symptoms, it's not so easy to just be in the moment and enjoy your life. But this isn't always very helpful, because if we're either in a sort of a waiting mindset or a mindset where we're constantly feeling like we have to do everything that we can to get better, then it means that we might be less likely to really use the present moment for enjoyable things, things that we like, things that we want to do in life, because we're postponing living and having fun to the future. So this isn't just a mindset that people with long COVID or chronic fatigue syndrome have. It's a mindset that a lot of people have. And it's that idea that we're postponing enjoyable things, or we're postponing what really, really matters to us to a future time, because we want things to be just right, or we want more money, or we want our life to be more organized before we do this specific thing. So one example is that idea of waiting until we retire to go traveling. In this book that I mentioned, Oliver Burkeman, the author, also explains that in the past people would have used different language around time. They might not have said someone has time. In the past, people didn't think of time as a possession, whereas now, because people are paid by the hour, they think of that time being sort of our possession or someone else's possession if, we're working for them during that hour. So the more that we can learn to enjoy our lives in this moment, the better it'll be for both your mental and physical health. Unfortunately, that is harder to do if you're not well, because of course you have difficult symptoms, maybe your energy is reduced, but it can be helpful to consider what you really enjoy doing. Then what's the value behind that? What exactly is it about that particular activity that you enjoy doing? And how could you adapt that activity to do on a day-to-day basis at the moment? So one example would be, for instance, gardening. If gardening is one of your passions, you might be thinking, well, I'm not able to get out into the garden, I'm sensitive to light, or I have all of these symptoms that are preventing me from doing that. Consider what is it that you like most about gardening? Is it taking care of plants? If you can identify what more specifically you like about a specific activity that you're not able to do, you might be able to adapt it to something that is more manageable. Like, is there a house plant that you could put beside your bed and take care of and water and dust the leaves, and that would probably not even be something you needed to do every day, but you could still have that as something that you feel like you're engaging with, as something you value. Or for instance, if you enjoy photography and you can't go outside, why not adapt that activity by doing some sort of photography in your bedroom, or finding a book that you can take interesting photos of from different angles. And I think it's worth not ruling out. You might initially think, oh, that sounds boring, or that sounds like not what I used to do. But I think sometimes it's better to do these things, even if they're not exactly what we did before. And obviously different people have different capacity, so some people will have a lot more capacity to do more of these things that they enjoy. When I was unwell, I spent a huge amount of time focusing on what's going to get me better. And whilst sometimes that is important and sometimes that's useful, it also can become a bit of an obsession. It can become something that takes up all of our energy and time, and then we're not doing enough of the things that we really enjoy because we're waiting to do that once we're better. But the mindset of continuously striving is not necessarily the most relaxing mindset to have. It's helpful sometimes to think about what you can do for today that's in line with your values or that you enjoy, rather than putting pressure on yourself to do more research or have a strict routine around all of the different things that you're doing. I mean, if you have things that you do on a day-to-day basis that you know are helpful, by all means do those things. But also bear in mind that waiting for you to feel well to start doing things you enjoy again is a bit of a mindset trap in itself, because once you're well, then if this is your mindset, the chances are you will end up thinking, well, once I get my career on track, then I can start enjoying myself, or once I get my physical fitness back, then I can start enjoying myself. There's always something more that we can strive for. Then we start abandoning the things that really are worthwhile in life. So another thing related to striving is perfectionism. And if you notice that you're spending a lot of your time day to day striving to get your health back, or trying to make things perfect in terms of, doing exactly the right amount of meditation and doing everything just right, then it's worth observing those parts of yourself and trying to learn a little bit more about those parts of yourself. Consider if there was ever a time when everything was in perfect order, or when someone maybe with authority told you that you needed to have everything perfect before you could start living your life. Because I think the recovery process itself is never going to be perfect. And if we're striving for perfection with recovery, it's something that unfortunately could really get in the way of actually getting results, because every time things don't seem like they're working out just right, or anytime a symptom comes back, your perfectionist part will say, no, this isn't how it should be, this isn't right, I need to do this all over again. So it can be helpful to have some awareness of the thoughts that you're having on a day-to-day basis around striving to get better or being perfectionistic about that process, because this mindset doesn't always make it easy to relax and to enjoy yourself. And those are two things that do help with our physical health. And it's also a mindset that's a trap, where it's not going to change once you get better. If that's the mindset you have now, that will and you don't work on changing it, it will be a mindset that remains, which means that there'll always be something else to strive for, or there'll be always a life circumstance that you want to perfect before you feel like you can start really living. And it seems like a lot of people with these conditions have similar personality traits. And so it is really useful to be working on self-reflection, considering what is going to help with having a good life balance when you're well, and how can you start implementing those things now. I have come across many people who put in so much hard work and dedication towards getting better, and it's really amazing how much they put in and how much they do, facing all the symptoms they have. But trying harder doesn't necessarily lead to better results. So this is something that hopefully is helpful to reflect on. And it's easier said than done in terms of changing these personality traits or these mindsets. But for me, even reading that book was quite helpful in considering how I manage those moments in life that are mundane or that are not ideal, where I'm standing in a queue or I'm having to go and do something that isn't really the most fun thing in the world. I noticed that I was getting frustrated in those moments, but actually life is made up of many moments of imperfection, times when we're not achieving things, or specific tasks we're doing take longer than expected. So I'm trying to work on feeling more okay with those moments and feeling more settled, reminding myself that this is part of life. It should be like this. This is how it is for everyone. It shouldn't be a different way. Because I think sometimes we can have ideas that things need to run smoothly. And again, it's all about wanting to control things around us. But unfortunately, a lot of things around us are out of our control. So thank you for listening. And if you have any thoughts, please leave them in the comments. If this is something that you've noticed doing yourself, or that you've noticed struggling with either striving or waiting or being perfectionistic around the process of recovery, maybe take time to reflect on that. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. I have a private Facebook group and the link is in the description below. And I'll see you in the next video.